Hello everyone, welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. This is a daily ramble. We're going to have a little chat about the game yesterday. Now the dust has settled, see if I feel any better about it. We'll see, shall we? As always, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe. Don't forget, drop a like on the video because it does really help us. And if you've got any hypes left, hype me up, baby. All right, my son loves it when I say that. He cringes. Just trying to be straight, you know what I mean? Yes, so we drew 2-2 away at Bournemouth. Now, I sort of went through it back to front yesterday, very arse about face. I was angry and I was emotional because it was 2 points thrown. It was 2 points thrown away, very nearly 3, if not for the heroics of Areola. And it didn't need to be like that. Absolutely didn't. I didn't feel any better this morning. Obviously, the rage has come down. It's been dulled down by about 10. Just replaced with complete confusion because Nuno's been here now for 7 games, and with the exception of 2 of them, it's not been great. It ain't been great. I mean, the point away at Everton, fine. He hadn't really had the team for long at that point. Then we went away to Arsenal. Didn't lay a glove. Well, was it away? I can't remember now. We didn't lay a glove on them. They beat us 2-0, but it is Arsenal, so you give him a pass. And he did what he did against Leeds with that stupid team selection. And then, even though that really didn't work, he repeated that against Brentford for some reason on the Friday night. Then what he did was he did what we all wanted. He gave us all a little bit of hope. He put out the team that 99% of fans would have probably selected, and they played without constraint. That's what they did. There weren't really much of a Nuno game plan going on there. You could very much see that the team was going out there to play football and just try and hurt Newcastle. We did. You know, we played them off the park. Then we played against Burnley. We went a goal down. We brought it back 3-1. Wasn't as good a performance as Newcastle, but we beat them. You know, Burnley are not a terrible team. They're just lacking firepower. But even in that game, Burnley were better than us for large parts of it. They were. Wasn't a good performance overall against a newly promoted team. Then we get the international break, and you think, right, okay, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. You know, he had 7 points in 6 games overall, but he's thrown 6 points away, which they were. Now, look, Leeds we would have beat, but maybe we would have got something out of Brentford. I think we would have. If we'd have played with the team that faced Newcastle and played with that same mentality, we beat Brentford. We do. So I think it was 6 points thrown away up until that point. So international break, we come back. We don't have Lucas Paqueta. And Jimmy Somerville is a late omission. Now, I'm hoping that the rumour is true and it's not a fallout and it's just a knock, just a niggle. It probably is, because Jimmy doesn't strike me as that sort of character that's going to ruffle too many feathers. So he starts with a back 5. And we had Potts and Fernandes in midfield with Guilherme in there as well. Guilherme weren't great, but he weren't terrible either. He just looked a bit lightweight, you know. We'll put it this way, Kyle Walker-Peters didn't look any better when he came on. I would have preferred to have we'd have learned more through giving Guilherme another half of football. Once he'd got that half out of his system, there would have been a lot of ring rust there. Guilherme hasn't even been featuring in under-21 football. He's been playing no competitive minutes whatsoever for ages now. So you've got a player there who's completely rusty. So I think the second half would have given us more of an accurate kind of idea of where he is. But based on the first 45 minutes, he doesn't look ready. But we didn't learn anything after he went off. It didn't improve us. It didn't make us better. It was unnecessary. It was a defensive move to take off what is an offensive player in Guilherme in midfield. Someone who has got the ability, if you do hit a ball into the channels and you want to play counter-attacking football, you've got someone there who could effectively, you know, cause Bournemouth a problem if you use him in the right way. But we removed that threat. We put Kyle Walker-Peters, another defender, in there. And we just set out from 40. It was a second half. It was a second half that you could see the game plan was to sit deep, defend, and try and hold what we had. Now, you could argue that, you know, if we had better defenders, because what I have done, I mean, I was watching most of that second half behind a pillar. I couldn't cope with it. So there was lots that I missed. Now, Kilman did have a bit of a disaster. You know, I'd forgotten, well, I didn't, but the handball for the first goal, he was also involved in the second goal as well. We just switched off. There was loads of other instances. Somebody sent me through some clips of Igor just letting the ball just run across him, ball watching. You know, right at the start of the game, he kind of, you know, misplaced a pass. So he weren't great. So Todibo and Areola were really holding the fort at the back there because Diouf is non-existent at left back. He's there, but he might as well not be. He's terrible defensively. So you've got Diouf, you've got Kilman, who's just crap, and you've got Igor. We'll just put that down to ring rust. I mean, I don't think he was as bad as Kilman, but he ain't a great defender. And then you've got Wan-Bissaka and Todibo and Areola that are trying to hold it all together. Wan-Bissaka had a few moments defensively as well where he switched off. Areola and Todibo were next level, next gen stuff, and they had to be because to set the team up to consume so much pressure when you've got those vulnerabilities at the back, you haven't got the defence that you had, when you was at Nottingham Forest. Now look, people are saying, he had a purple patch at Forest where they weren't doing very well. Then they came back after an international break, and that was brilliant. Caught people by surprise, like we did under Moyes. Catch people by surprise by counter-punching because they had good defenders, they had a decent midfield, and they had loads of pace up front. So they could play a legitimate counter-attacking game. But even if you've got all the pieces for a counter-attacking game, it's not guaranteed to work, even if you've got the perfect team to execute that. Because you're going up against good teams. You're when you play that way, you're giving the ball to the opposition. You're sitting back and you're just banking on your goalkeeper and your defenders and your central midfielders to have 100% concentration and make no slip-ups whatsoever. None. And then what you've got to do, on a rare occasion that you do snap and go down the other end, you've got to make the most of it. So they hit on a purple patch at Nottingham Forest. That's what happened. And he can't replicate that at West Ham, and he can't fix that in January. He ain't going to go out and buy Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Murillo, Milenkovic. He ain't buying all of those players in January. That's not happening. We'll be lucky to get 2 players. Are they going to be of that level? Highly doubt it. I highly doubt it's going to be of that level. So what we've got is a team that are free-spirited, and they've shown that they can be gritty as well. But you've got to play a different brand of football. What we saw against Newcastle is what you do with this team. And that is what me as a fan, being selfish, that's what I want to see. That's closer to what I associate to being very West Ham-like. People talk about the West Ham way. It's that, taking the game to the opposition, being physical, being fierce. We was never going to lose that game. And a little bit of, angel dust sort of sprinkled in there as well to give us something a little bit different, something a little bit special. Now, I know that we couldn't exactly replicate what we did against Newcastle because we had no Paqueta, we had no Somerville, but there are other options. There really are. You've got Urfi on the bench. He's a good player. He is. He's closer to Potts in terms of his development as a player. He could have come in and probably done more of a job than what Guilherme could have at this stage because Guilherme's had no football whatsoever. Urfi's sharp. He played for the under-21s not so long ago in a cup game. He scored he got almost a 10 out of 10 performance. He was way too good for that level. So Urfi's there. We've seen Fearon pre-season. We've got so many options. Marshall, Josh Landers has come back and he's banging in goals. You've got Adiele as well, who's a left-sided attacking player. If you haven't watched the under-21s, Adiele's fantastic. He's a tricky, fast, direct winger. Someone different that we could have brought in. And he also can play at left-back, so he's tenacious. There are options there, but Nuno limited his options. So his game plan was to sit and hit on the break. Let's face it, we scored from a route one from Areola to Callum Wilson. Bit of individual brilliance from Callum Wilson combined with a slip from the keeper. Got us our first goal. Goal from nothing. The second goal was it was chaos. Ball goes into the box. Bowen keeps it alive. Todibo flicks it on, and wonderful play again from Callum Wilson, who's got his back to goal, chests it down, and with his left foot, the other foot, hooks it into the top corner. Just 2 bits of amazing play from the entire game. They had something ridiculous, like 28 shots on our goal. We had 4. All of our 4 were in the first half. We didn't have anything in the second half. Nothing, because by design, we weren't set up to even try and create a problem for Bournemouth. So all that does is encourage the opposition to just keep on firing on attackers and just put you under more and more and more pressure. And as the game goes on, you get mentally fragile, you get physically fatigued, it gets harder and harder to keep it out. They was always going to score, and it's a miracle they only scored 2. And yeah, you can put things down to individual errors. You know, Kilman handballed it, and then he went asleep for that. It's going to happen. When you are just sitting on the edge of your 18-yard box, consuming so much pressure, it's going to break. You're going to concede. We should have conceded way more. Areola made 8 saves in that second half, I think it was. 8. All of them good. He had an unbelievable game. It should have been 3-2 would have been getting away with it, but 4 or 5 was what that second half represented. About 5-2 when we was 2-0 up. Now, there is no excuse. Now, look, you can say, oh, you know, this is a squad that other people have built. Wait till he I don't want to wait till he gets his fucking players. Wait till he gets these players, Traore and Garner for central midfield. This is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about players that are going to revolutionise the way that we're playing. So we've got a really tough run of fixtures coming up now. We're lucky we've got the 7 points that we've got under Nuno, because we have got 7. He's now sitting 7 on 7. A point a game we're sitting at with Nuno. Now, what we've got coming up is we've got Liverpool at home. We've got Man United away. We've got Brighton away. We've got Villa at home. And we've got City away. Now, I don't see any points in those with the way that we're playing. With the way that we played against Burnley and with the way that we played against Bournemouth there, you know, who didn't have their 2 best players. And yeah, you could argue we didn't have our 2 most effective attacking players in Paqueta and Somerville, but they didn't. You know, Semenyo and Kluivert. It's their 2 best players. But look how they coped. Look how they cut us to ribbons. Look at the depth in the Bournemouth squad compared to us. They carried on playing the same way to slightly less effectiveness, but they carried on. Now, we're playing against Liverpool, who are awful this season. They really are. And there's rumours that Slot could go either today or on Monday, from what I'm reading in the press. They're saying that he could go. Apparently, he's lost the changing room. It's chaos. So they don't want to, because Liverpool are not that way inclined. You know, they're quite a loyal club when it comes to managers. So it would have to be bad there for them to not stick with him with the credit that he's got in the bank after winning the league. But we've got to hope and pray that he is there, because that's the only chance that we're going to have. If they bring a new manager in like a Zidane, the new manager bounce is going to be embarrassing, especially playing the way that we're playing. Let's not forget, Nottingham Forest battered Liverpool yesterday. It was 4. 1 goal was chalked off and it shouldn't have been. They basically beat them 4-0 at Anfield. They're in trouble. They're in shit. But nonetheless, what you've got to do against a team that are on the ropes, because they are weak defensively. Liverpool have got problems at the back. So to get the best out of Liverpool, you've got to peg them back. You've got to exploit their weaknesses. You've got to go at them, show them no respect. Do what Nottingham Forest did. Just go, no, yeah, you can come at us. You've got good players, but you're fucked at the back. We're going to exploit you. What I'm worried about is that Nuno will ignore the previous games and all he'll see is Liverpool FC. And we'll sit back and we'll be patient and we'll be cautious and we'll try and hit with our non-existent fucking counter-attack that we've got. Because it is non-existent. That will be a disaster. Even with Slot, I can see us getting pounded by Liverpool there. If we play that way, if we go at them like we did against Newcastle, then do you know what? This Liverpool will beat. We'll beat them. But you've got to have belief. You've got to give your team belief, your players belief, that they've got the ability to go out and take Liverpool apart. Don't fill them with fear and say, no, you're not good enough, because you've got to get them to buy into that. For them to not question it and execute your plan to, 100%, they've got to believe what you're telling them. The only way that we can get anything from Liverpool or whoever or Bournemouth is if we sit deep and we defend and we don't let them through, because they're better than us. You know, we've got to defend. We've got to put our bodies on the line. That's the only way. And you can't prepare your team like that. Liverpool, at the moment, they're there for the taking. They genuinely are. Credit to Sean Dyche. Rips them to pieces. But my worry is that I don't see any points, whether Slot's here or whether he goes. I don't see any points from those games, which means that we are 100% back in that bottom 3 come Christmas. We could be back in the bottom 3 today if Leeds pull off a shock against Aston Villa. It could happen. It's very unlikely. You know, the likelihood is we get to spend next week out of the relegation zone. Please, God. That would be nice. But we're not going to be out of there for long unless he changes his mentality. And the worry is that he won't. Because why has he reverted back straight away? Why, after the evidence that he got at Newcastle, did we see him then tweak it against Burnley? Because he did. He tweaked it against Burnley. He put the same team out with a completely different game plan. They were all of a sudden restricted, restrained, locked in, had deep defensive jobs to do. We weren't getting forward. We almost lost that Burnley game, if not for I'm sure the players just reacted after we conceded. We straight away, we clicked on and we started going at Burnley, causing them problems. I think that was player driven. I don't think that was Nuno driven, because it weren't working what Nuno set him out to do. So, and then go and do this. So every time, we used to see it under Moyes, you'd see it under Lopetegui, you'd see it less so under Potter. But when they're under pressure and they've got people screaming and shouting at them and the results are no good and they're desperate, all of a sudden you'll get a game where you go, oh, that's all right, isn't it? That's all right. I don't mind that. That's really good. I think we can do them. Well, no. Yeah, that's really good. You know, and then it picks you up again. But then these managers always revert back to what they were before. Sorry, I got a phone call there. It threw me off a little bit. Yeah. So I am concerned. I do think that we're going to be in the bottom three. I think if you look at the teams above us, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Newcastle, Everton, Brentford, Liverpool, Man United, none of those teams are at risk of relegation. None of them are. They're not. They're all going to get more than enough points to be safe this year. More than enough. That means there is a 4-team relegation battle. Come Christmas, I think there's going to be a gap that appears, and I think we're going to be cut adrift at the bottom. Either in the bottom three or just outside it, but we are in it. And it ain't going to get any easier next year because, yes, we've got a transfer window. So is everyone else. Leeds, Burnley have a transfer window. So I am worried about it. And I do feel like we could look back at the end of the season and go, fuck me, do you remember that Leeds game? Do you remember that Brentford game? Do you remember what he did when we was away at Bournemouth and we was 2-0 up? What did he do that for? I'm really worried that that's what's going to happen because that's how precious points are. When you are where we are in the league, you can't just give them up. I'm coming. I've got to go and walk the dogs. You can't just give them up. So yeah, it is worrying. But look, that was. I just got the death stare. I must go. All right. Anyway, look, we're back tonight with a Sunday Night Live. I've got Mickey. I've got Corral. We're going to be doing the phone-ins. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you feel any better after this? I don't. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just back to being really concerned. And I like Nuno. I want him to succeed. I like him as a man. I think he's a good manager. I don't think if this is how he's going to play, what I said at the start when he first came in, it applies. You can't invite pressure onto a team with defenders like this. It doesn't fit. We're not suited to counter-attacking football. We don't have the squad for it anymore. We just don't. Which was the main reason why I thought he would be the wrong appointment. Because we tore up Moyes' team. We brought in Potter, who completely got rid of all of those mercurial sort of low block players. It won't work. But look, anyway, that's it from me. If you enjoyed the show, drop a like on it for us. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you later on tonight for the Sunday Night Live. Come on, you once.